What's up everybody and welcome to another video. I'm Rich Wilson, founder and filmmaker at Vibe Media, where we help your brand build to an influencer level online presence using filmmaking tools and tips to tell your story. And in this episode of Vibe Check, we are talking about film school. Should you go to film school? Should you not? How is the best way to learn filmmaking in your own career? You'll take a look into some of our experiences with film school and college-based learning, and also on-the-job learning as well. And we throw out the pros and cons of each and kind of give our own little opinions for ourselves, whether film school is right for you or should you just smash it and go out on your own. So with that, let's get on with the episode. Hey everybody, welcome to Vibe Check, the show for filmmakers and film enthusiasts. I'm Rich Wilson. We've got Forrest and the fabulous Dana.
I was going to say I'm not first this time.
No, because I wanted to,
I know, but you threw in a fabulous.
Fabulous
so
Dana. Yes,
it.
of course. And today we are talking about film school. Is it worth it? What can you learn if you are going through it? What can you learn if you don't go to it? And just kind of our takes on it. You know, Forrest has been to film school. Dana has...
No, never.
No, nothing.
No, that's not true. I took film studies once in high school.
She took film studies once in high school, and I'm somewhere in between where I went to college for like acting and directing. But
self-taught a lot of your...
A lot of my filmmaking is self-taught. So it's going to be an interesting conversation and topic, and at the end we'll kind of weigh in whether film school is even worth it or not. And let us know also in the comments below your thoughts on film school. You know, smash or crash.
Smash or pass.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll jump in because I'm really the only one that's actually truly gone to film school. I would say it's a little bit of a tricky question to answer because it really depends on what aspect of film you're trying to focus on. Mm-hmm. I think there are more benefits to it if you're learning about behind the scenes, or I guess not behind the scenes, I would say pre-production, the history of film, things of that nature. Those things, script writing, less of the hands-on artistic side of things may be a better use of film school because just in the nature of what it is. I mean, you're in a classroom getting taught how film is or what you should or shouldn't do, but you're not in a practical classroom, I guess, of doing it too often, unless you get into a higher level working on your capstone throughout your 4-year experience. That's more where you start getting into the technical usage of your skills. I think for me, and fellow graduates that we've talked about before, Jacob Owens, things of that nature, we all went to film school, and I think we realized partway through that for what we wanted to do, it was more of a benefit to not go into that higher level course and to spend our time actually going out and doing it and learning on the job than it would be trying to do this one major project in 4 years and then have no experience in the industry.
Yeah.
There are good things from it. Obviously, you learn a lot. I was talking to you guys before, though, too. One of the biggest things that I have with film school in general nowadays, when I was in film school, we were already in the area of digital filmmaking. So SD cards, actual storage hard drives, all that stuff. And our film department, even though it's a huge major university, was still operating on cameras with DV tape and still trying to train people on what the classic uses of the Hollywood film industry were as far as these positions and these things. And this is how it is, when it had changed a couple years prior to be quite different.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one thing to always keep in mind. It really depends on how far into that transition of an industry that you're in. And this goes not only for film, but for anything. See how far behind the teaching is for the change that's happening. If there's a recent change in your industry, all that stuff, school may not be the best course of action for you, because if they're teaching the old way,
So what you're saying is, like, if you're looking at going into a film school, then definitely do your research and see what the teaching is like. Mm-hmm. Are they teaching are they teaching like what
new things?
Now
yeah.
this was also a number of years ago. Not too long ago, but long enough.
2000. I was in 2000.
Like
oh god, 9 to 13.
Right.
Was when I was in college. So there was a lot of changing there as far as
almost a decade has gone by. So maybe there has been some. I know. I'm sorry.
Back when I was in college.
Back when I was.
But yeah, I think that was the biggest thing.
Definitely do the research if you're looking at the school route. Look at the research, look at what their capabilities of, what are they teaching on. Is it going to be practical? Look at all of the different things. Film school, definitely a great resource for a lot of people who want to go that route. Definitely take a look. Oh. Moving on over here.
I chose not to go to film school. It was a choice.
Okay.
I didn't want to get into debt just because that is common nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
I also felt like what I wanted to do, I could just learn on my own and do it my own way, because I look at the directors that I actually really like Christopher Nolan. He didn't go to film school. Quentin Tarantino didn't go to film school. I feel like as long as you have the resources and you have the creativity and the drive to do it, like a proper education shouldn't stop me from doing it.
Well, and you also learn things on
the internet nowadays too. Like I could
Absolutely.
just Google how do I what's a screenplay template, and it'll just this is the font you need to do. This is how you write it out. Even though I already knew how to do it from the previous courses I had taken regarding film. Like I took an editing course just because if I'm gonna work on an actual system, I want someone to teach me properly how to use it, and then later I'll go in and mess with it and figure out how to do it my own way. Like I'm not a very what's the right word? I don't like to do things the typical standard way. I like to just kind of do it my way and figure out my own method for it.
Well, I think that's a benefit of where we're at now with technology is, as I was mentioning, certain parts of film are something that you don't necessarily need to go to school for. I think it's cool that I was able to go and learn a little bit about some of these movies that I've suggested to you guys.
Right.
And you learn a little bit about things that are
ways
important.
that, like the cinematography behind it, like even the
lighting.
science behind lighting and how to use light, how to shape light.
But thinking about new tools, again, like master classes, online courses that have come out since 2009, things have changed.
Yeah.
And I think, for me, when I was going in, I made use of my time there where learning the movies and things that I needed to, but also was working on HBO documentaries and doing these music tours and filming people doing that. Well, I got more practical use out of actually applying my skills. Whereas nowadays, I think what you're kind of going through, you're using the new technology to kind of self-teach yourself a lot of these things.
And you know what? I learned a lot on my own as well. I still feel like I'm at the barely bit of the tip of the iceberg. I got into filmmaking just like a lot of people got into it, picking up the family camera and making stupid videos. Like literally they were stupid. Like we would call some of our videos innocent bystander, where somebody's walking along the sidewalk and then somebody runs up and beats them with a baseball bat and runs away. That kind of stupidity,
like Jackass.
Exactly. It was just dumb.
Like every young boy
it was
who
like
imitated
dumb stuff and coming up with like one of my very first YouTube videos is called Mormon Mafia, and it's still up there. I'll throw the link on it below. Give it a like.
Shameless plug.
It's terrible. It's terrible. It's like 15 years old. It was when I was a senior in high school. I had long hair, braces, and I've got a 3-piece suit on, and I think I'm freaking Don Corleone from Godfather. But so fun. But yeah, like nowadays, even though I went into college and I went into the acting world and ended up coming out as kind of a director mindset, working behind the scenes more than in front of the camera. A lot of it has just been kind of learning how to light an interview, how to do that on my own, figure that out on my own. Microphones, how to manipulate sound, how to manipulate color, how to make even a set kind of look, pretty good.
But I think that jumps into, again,
Yes.
when I was talking about in practice, there's certain parts of it that you need to just learn by doing.
Yes.
That's the camera, the angles, the lights, all that stuff. And then like the post-production, when you're talking about what you can do to sound or what you can do to lighting after the fact.
And then
those are things you learn online.
Absolutely.
Or in school.
And we live in such an amazing time to where you can literally go to Google and just go to the search, what was I saying? I don't know, search. And you could just say how to, press record on my camera, or how to
use Adobe Premiere Pro.
Exactly. There's so many things out there, and there's so many different courses out there. You've got all the, even some of the great YouTube filmmakers that a lot of us follow. Jacob Owens has his own film course. You've got Full-Time Filmmaker. You've got, Devin Supertramp is now coming out with a new course. You've got Philip Bloom's got courses. And it's all about, helping people with cinematography, with editing, with how to film like a real estate video, how to film, etc. There's so much information out there. Honestly, I get overwhelmed at times. Like I'll be watching through some of my courses that I take, trying to, which I took a Premiere course because I was transitioning from Final Cut to Premiere, and I took a course, and a lot of it is overwhelming, and I've got to watch them probably 700,000 more times in order to master
10,000
it.
hours, man. 10,000 hours.
Exactly. You got to watch it, you got to learn, and you have to master the skill.
But it's also about finding your own style, and I think that's with any arts field. Any artist will know, even music theory, going to school for music, for acting, for film. There's only so much that you can learn from a school environment. A lot of it is like, you may learn this, but when you're on the job, it doesn't always work as you were taught. Like, again, how many times have we gone to set where we thought we were going to have more space or this many tools and we didn't.
Right.
We're like, okay, we're limited to one light, one camera, and a microphone. What can we do in this small space versus having a gaffer and a boom mic and an editor and all that stuff. Like we have to do all of that still. So when you're at that point, things do change. You can only learn so much of how things should be versus how things are in the real world.
Right, but that kind of goes back to like, guerrilla filmmaking, and so many people are like that. Even some of the greats back, that we admire, Quentin Tarantino, definitely a great example of guerrilla filmmaking. Yes, he had a lot of resources, definitely a lot more than what we have, and a lot more than maybe you have. But, he figured it out. He saw a problem going, okay, how do I make this work?
They also don't teach you that practically, though, in schools nowadays. They don't teach you that when you're on a budget as a filmmaker, like there's these things that you can do. Instead of teaching us, when you have a multi-million-dollar budget, here's what you can have as a director and an assistant director and a third camera crew.
But what about if you have a $10,000 budget? What about a $1,000 budget?
Yeah.
What about a $500 budget?
Yeah.
What can you do? It's a lot, that way you have to wear a lot more hats, Not only are you going to be the director, but you're going to be the cinematographer, you're going to be the gaffer, you're going to be the boom mic guy, and then you may have one other person as a, second camera, et cetera, et cetera. You and I have done that how many times?
Yeah, so I mean, that's, I guess, where I would lean more towards looking into possible community college options or more specialized schools, because they may have courses like, I can't tell you how many times when I was going, because I had a scholarship to go to a full ASU, so that's why I went. But when you're doing a film degree, they make you take your 3 lab science classes and your 7 math courses for your film degree, and you're like, it doesn't make sense. And you're like, but if there was a lab class that was like special effects for filmmaking, where you learn how to do like explosions safely and you learn how to do things that could come in handy for film, I think it would make more sense.
Yeah.
So I think if you find a school that maybe gives you those benefits of teaching you those skills and those guerrilla filmmaking tactics, or the how to make, tracks, like, because you can make them out of PVC pipe, and like if you had a class that taught you how to like make props for a film, I think it'd be great. I think it'd be a great school to go to, and I wish I had that. But my school was more about, again, you had the history side, and then you had you had to audition into a capstone portion where at that point you only really have two options. And so I chose doing this portion, learning as much as I could about this, and then using this time that I would have spent doing that, actually doing.
Yeah.
So.
And honestly, this is looking back on even my history. I think it would have been a lot better for me to go the self-teaching route more often, or even more sooner than I have done, because the best thing that you can do is invest in yourself, and that does not necessarily mean to go to a big university or a film school that's going to cost you tens of thousands of dollars. But invest in yourself, research something, go find a course that may cost a couple $100, or
get a job.
Even a workshop.
Get a job that can give you the experience. That's what I did.
Yes.
I literally was going to actually start taking film courses at the local community college until I got offered a job from the Higley Performing Arts Center. Right. And now I'm learning how to use cameras. I'm learning about lighting. I'm learning about audio. I'm learning about production stuff, directing, switchboards, all of that. And it's even better because we have to adapt to how things actually are, being produced nowadays. And a lot of it's live streamed and with a limited crew.
And again, I think the largest portion it's ironic enough that they teach you this in film school, is that honing your skill. It's more so about your connections and your actual skill in doing what you're doing, more so than anything that you could ever learn. You can learn about films and how things should be all day long, but
then you just become a film critic.
Yeah, but then
Exactly.
that's where the teacher side of things come in. You become a teacher because you're learning about this. But again, if you're building those connections, which I do think is something in college that is helpful, but that can also be done in workshops, or you can take a single course in community college. You don't have to do a full degree.
Like I said, I took editing through community college.
Well, and you could even go online. Again, you go online, you could look up like local meetup.com is a great website that you could type in filmmakers of your local area, and it'll pull up a bunch of groups of how many members are in there, and you can connect with them either via Zoom, or you could go out. Like I just started looking into that actually within the last couple of weeks for myself, and there are a few groups out there that we could connect. And because in this industry, it's exactly right. It's not necessarily how much you know, it's who you know. It's those connections to build upon, to go work for somebody else, to even if you're like a PA, like a production assistant, like you did for certain your projects, that may lead you to end up having great relationships with like maybe the director or the DP that they bring you on as a
I'm still friends with sound guys that live in other countries and things too, that I could always work with and network on possible things. There's been opportunities that's come out of it, I think. And even if you don't have those groups that are around you, maybe you're living in a more rural area, create them. Find people that have common bonds, or that are interested in maybe learning. Maybe you can inspire a group to be built, because companies were built out of garages all the time.
And I'm gonna have to dispute a little bit on the whole connection thing, because nowadays you see indie filmmakers and they are getting more attention than like a lot of the Marvel, not the Marvel movies, but a lot of like the other big box office movies nowadays. Like you have the Russo brothers, who basically were nobodies, and now they just made a film with Adam Sandler and The Weeknd.
Right.
Like that's impressive. That's so impressive. Or like the whole A24 production company. I don't know anybody that's famous or that knows has any celebrity connection. Through that movie, other than like maybe Shia LaBeouf.
It's a testament to the way things are, though, too, that it's maybe not as upfront as it was the connections before. You don't need them in the same way that you need them now. Like you can have connections with people digitally. You can reach out to people online, slide into somebody's DMs. I know it sounds weird, but like honestly, if you see somebody that is in your community or somebody you look up to, reach out to them, see if they have any advice. The worst that they can do is leave you on red or don't reply. Like
social media has really changed the game when it's come to networking, because there really is no limit to the amount of people that you could connect with, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, Facebook,
Wendy's.
Yeah.
Like you can literally communicate with Wendy's on Twitter. It's insane.
Absolutely.
Oh, I had an order from like Grubhub or something that was messed up, and I tweeted them because there was no other way, and they literally messaged me in my inbox on Twitter and then gave me a refund through my app. Like that's how everything's done.
Well,
it's like
right.
No shade
Yeah.
to Netflix, but I've seen some of their films that are originals and they're garbage. Like Swiped, please don't come for me, that director, because she is attacking a lot of people online. But they're garbage movies. They're horrible movies. And all those people did was send in a screenplay to them. And they got produced. They got the $1 million budget that they needed or the $100,000 budget that they needed just by sending in a screenplay.
Dang, let's start doing that.
That's all you have to do. To me, based off of those streaming platforms, that's basically
stranger
it.
things have happened, and then things that don't maybe get traction for several years after too. Create something, put it out there. You never know if somebody comes across it
Build your
5
content.
years and they're like, oh, I found this thing online, and they start spreading it. And we're trying to do the same thing. We're building some things. We're putting these podcasts out. We're doing these things that eventually people will look back on and be like, oh wow, this is like interesting things. It's
hopefully soon we'll
Honestly,
have a Mike's Hard Lemonade parody commercial.
Yeah,
on this
that's
channel.
true. Yeah, we're talking about some fun stuff. So yeah, I think we'll definitely put that out here the next couple months. So you don't want to miss that. But so to recap, really, for me, I would say if you like Forrest, if you have a scholarship to go to a film school, go to a film school.
Yeah.
But if you have to pay for it, don't.
Or do research. Or do research.
Or take some courses through the community college nearby, because it's like $120.
But honestly, like, there is so much information out there already that you don't need to be spending tens of thousands of dollars and getting into debt for something that you could literally spend maybe $500 on a digital course that you could have for life.
Yeah.
And it gives you everything you need to know about camera settings, lighting, how to even get clients, and etc. Like, there's
and
so
I'll
much
tell you,
out
the last
there.
thing that anybody's ever going to look at if you're trying to work on a film is whether or not you have a degree.
They look at your experience.
It helps. They look at your experience more so than anything.
Yeah.
And that's why I chose to take the work route instead of the education route, because I realized, I'm not really going to achieve a whole lot in school because I'm not going to have anything on my resume other than like, degree in filmmaking. It's
Absolutely.
like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, that's great. So do
and
all
then
of
at that
these
It's a
point,
piece of paper.
Yeah, and then
yeah.
at that point, how do I get experience if no one will take, the degree?
Well, there are so many filmmakers, our friend included, Jacob Owens, we've mentioned him before, but like Devin Supertramp, Parker Wahlbeck from Full-Time Filmmakers, so many of these other guys that went to film school for like maybe 2 years, and then they realize, hey, I'm actually making money actually going out and doing this, and they drop out.
Yep.
They drop out.
Yeah.
And then within another like couple of years, they're, killing it. If you're on YouTube and you're a filmmaker and you don't know about Jacob Owens of the Buff Nerds or Devin Supertramp or Full-Time Filmmaker, then well, one, you're probably under a rock, because these guys are some of the bigger ones out there.
But some of them did things as simple as like, do it with your friends. Create if you think that you want to do a commercial or do a music video. If
Do
you're
it.
inspired.
Everyone has a smartphone nowadays.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
has access to a camera. If you want to do it, just do it.
Because there's
Exactly.
things that
And
become
most of these things can do 4K now.
well, and there's things that are fan made that become the actual thing. Like, again, you create a commercial or you like a product, you create something for it and you send it in, and it becomes what they use for their platform.
Right.
Or a music video. Again, you create a music video with your friends on something, and it becomes the official music video for this artist because they liked it so much. Like, weirder things have happened in the world, and that can be a way that you can get in and get your start. So
Yeah. So really, invest in yourself and create content. Just create fun content and just put it out there. Build your brand, build your portfolio, and then just have fun. Invest in yourself. That's really what I think really all of us are saying in this episode is research the path that you want to go and invest in yourself to the future that you want to take. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Great.
I agree with that.
Cool. Well, all right. You let us know what you guys think about, film school. If you've gone to film school, let us know what benefits you've taken out of that, or if you've kind of passed, and let us know how you are learning your filmmaking as well. And also hit in the comments below to maybe tell us some of the online courses that you're taking that you may think may be beneficial to others as well. And
And to see Rich's classic film that
Yeah.
he created.
Yeah, and my classic film, the 2009 Mormon Mafia, and there was a sequel like 6 months later.
Oh my God.
There was a Mormon Mafia too. Yes, there was.
Wonderful.
Oh God,
Yes.
we'll save that for our future episode.
Yeah.
We'll save that for the sequels episode.
Yeah, the sequels episode.
There you
Indeed.
go.
All right. Well, until then, keep vibing.
Bye, guys.
Hey, I hope that helped you kind of decide whether film school is right for you or not. Let us know in the comments what you think about film school and what you think about filmmaking learning to begin with, and which way that you want to go. And if you have any questions and anything, please let us know on the path that you may need to take for your own career. But until then, keep creating, build your brand, and go out there and tell your story.